I'm going to do a video explaining what years this layout's actually based on. I've based it mainly on early 1980 to around 2010, minus the 1910 electric train or 1920 electric train sitting here, but that's mainly being based on nowadays where they have these electric trains still running on as excursion trains done by steam rail. One day I'm actually going to paint this up looking at the excursion train steam I used to, because I know in the early 2000s these used to run excursion trains in this livery, but now it's only one of these 4 cars that's still running excursion use. But it's painted a livery red and white nowadays, like red with white stripes on the side. I have customised this by making my own driving trailer for this model. I have a driving trailer just there. The only time I ever run that as 2 car set is when I'm using it as inspection testing, because all the overhead cable has taken me a long time to do on this layout, building it all up. But while I live in this apartment, this is the layout I'm going to be having. When I move house, this layout's going to be stripped down to the baseboard, and then I'll leave with the baseboard and do a bigger layout. So I'm going to have more in one running lines. At the moment I've only got one running track which does a tyre loop, and I can't run a second train when one train's on the main. So when I get around doing, I build a layout with 4 running lines, up, down, all the like the Frankston Pakenham lines set up as. Yeah, so it is up to in between Flinders and Caulfield. But this is based on 1980 to 2010, minus of this train was based in 1920s era. It's based around the livery when they had the the livery tangerine livery V-line. And this section of that from what was mainly based in the 50s, because these were around the 50s mainly in this live, but they still do excursion trains with steam engines with these on the back of them. That's only one reason why I bought this carriage for, because I've actually rode in a carriage identical to this one, but with the number 18CE, not 13CE. I only bought that because 18CE was sold out when I went to buy it. These 2 logos in this live are mainly based on the much later 2000, I think 2018, I think they got that livery. And someone can correct this in the thing below. What year I don't know what it was, 2016 Streamliner livery. Based Bernie Baker 2016 Streamliner vent. I couldn't remember what it was. It's just sort of on the side of the logo. The other minor thing what's about this layout is the 1970s style, early 40s style vans. There's a model. I've seen one in real life. Because my layout's mainly based on electric suburban / V-line regional, because I do most of the V-line models. It's based on electric suburban because I've got electric locomotives with pantographs, L classes. None of these have been run nowadays. This one's preserved in the Williamstown Train Museum, and L1162 is owned by Steam Rail Victoria. It's not running because when they tested it last, it fried out the electrical substation. Mine's a few steam engines around the layout there, this British ones. But that was given by my friend Matt K183, was one of my subscribers, and I bought that years ago. I gave it a bit of the coal soot look, but I got some black paint to make it look a bit sooty. Obviously, it's been so a long time. The pantographs on these are cool. This the overhead cable is not just here for display for running use. Actually, it's not. I mean, it's not there for detailing. It's actually there to make the electric trains run, because the overhead is live 12 volts, 13 volts DC to make it run, but it's all powered by power cab. I would say it's one of the best controllers, because I've had this one at least about 3 years since I moved in here. But the one I used to use previous was a Digitrax DCS51 controller. That was my main DC I had for about 5 years. No, not 5 years. No, yeah, 5 years, because I had that for 5 years, sort of packed up. So I originally bought this and because I built a small programming late at my house when I was in Geelong to do the programming. But this is my main controller. But it's going to be replaced soon to a new controller when I get one. Like all my signals are controlled by lever frames, so they control all the points and semaphores by these. They have that interlocking installed, so if I pull the wrong lever in code, it won't activate. Like if I have that pulled, this one won't pull, or won't operate. Now if I pull it, it's not operating that point there. I use Culvert DCC Concepts motors. Some are the DCC digital and some are DC analog. Mainly the ones with interlocking are based with analog, and the DCC ones mainly do the switcher. But if I pull this lever, turn these points over. So this way you'll be able to see me pull that and the point blades move. Maybe there's a 10-minute video, I'm not going to do it for long. But these locos, this is based on the 50s, but V-Line still had these in service in this livery around early 80s. They didn't withdraw these until 1987. Yeah, 1987 they got withdrawn from passenger rosters. Early 1980s they got withdrawn from the goods, but they were withdrawn in late 87 from passenger rosters, the L-Class. They did do excursions in the 90s, but they haven't run one ever since that, because when steam motors they blew out the substation. Well, mine's 2010-ish, but that Spinner 7004 was based on 2012. But my is mainly based on 2010-ish, just before 2010, when they still had semaphore seals in use. Minus the upper, ignore the upper quadrant semaphores, because they're British Rail upper quadrant, but in our country you mainly use lower quadrant semaphores, like that one over there. If I can zoom it in, that one there, the C box. Was custom made, I actually made that myself out of old cardboard box. So I pull signal 2 off. That's controlled by these levers. If I pull it out again, you'll see it. Like I said, I mentioned this is based on Metropolitan Melbourne mainly, with the overhead cable. Notice my Sprinters have the Geelong destination indicators on them. Nowadays you don't see Sprinters running Geelong services anymore. That's what it says. But they're not totally withdrawn from Geelong services as people might think, but occasionally, very, very rarely, V-Line do put them on Geelong-bound services. I have seen one run Geelong-bound services with passengers on board. They did it once, very rarely. But if anyone thinks it's really withdrawn for Geelong, you'll be wrong. But they do occasionally run them on Geelong line, but not all the time. Sometimes under test only, or occasionally run the 1631 Geelong with Sprinters. Sometimes, not all the time, but very rarely you'll see them. Like my old fashioned, I had these VN set cars behind me well over 10 years. Well over 10 years. No, not 10 years. Wrong. Well over. About 8 years I've had those N-sets for, so I've gone back in 2016. No, not 8, hang on, that's right, because I'm not good about it, I'm thinking what it was, 7 years I've had those N-sets for. They've been re-chassis, like I put new chassis on them, because the original chassis are broken. Didn't really went down the track properly. Got old proper steam engine coal there. But as I mentioned, this lat's based on Metropolitan Melbourne 1980 to 2010. The track gauge is Pico code 100 and Hornby code 100, because some of the points are Hornby, like that point down there. It's a Hornby one. But mostly what I'm using on here is Pico code 100. And occasionally I used, it did not see any of this white painted concrete sleepers because that was only a thing during the current Corona lockdowns when I couldn't get the Pico stuff and they didn't have any in stock. Secondly, half this layout is not even held together by track clips because where's the ones I had to do without track clips? Like this one there, that one is held together just by solder. That's the same, that's just held on by solder. That was the time when I couldn't get the Pico track, what are they called? Joiners. I got some spare ones. That time when everything was like World War II during Corona lockdown for model rallies over here with the British stuff. Like everything was very scarce to get a hold of. Like the trackpans were very hard to get a hold of, so I just did the old solder method I've learned to do. And the track's not glued to the table either, it's just screwed down to the table. I've got drywall screws going into the table at various locations on the rail to hold it down. So if I ever choose to strip this board, I can just undo all the screws, pull the track to pieces. But that's my model railway. It's based on 1980 to 2010. Exception of some of the liveries in been after 2010. Like that, I think that was that sprinter over here was painted after 2010. And these two as part of the exceptional bed layout being in after 2010 because I've actually seen this one in real life. But that's the way I keep all my locomotives stored in here, out in the hallway. Next my thing is that my old train driver skill I got when I did the driving thing, and I got my proper Metropolitan train flags just there. And proper signals, and level crossing was been from level crossing removals. I bought them from the Victorian Railway Antiques. That's my old. Another thing I add to the table. Here's the telephone. That's actually a proper railway phone. That came out of the railways as well. GEC. But that phone's hooked up. If any incoming calls come to my house, I don't have to go away in the living room to answer the phone. Because I'm ushered in here, it's all hooked up and working. But this is my layout. It's mainly based, I'll say it again, 1980 to 2010. But I've had this layout well over 3 years now. But this is my model railway layout.